I saw Srila Prabhupada in New York in the Henry Street Temple, and when I saw Srila Prabhupada, I knew that he was looking right through me. It felt like he was looking right through me, and he could see all of my contamination. I was going through some. Of course, there are 4 kinds of people who come to Krishna consciousness. So I was definitely in a distressed condition, and when I saw Srila Prabhupada, I had read something also before I saw him. So I read some of the books. I had read the Krishna book and Nectar Devotion, and also the Bhagavad-gita. But even the Bhagavad-gita, even previous to that, I read a different translation of Bhagavad-gita. But I was crying when I saw Srila Prabhupada. But then he looked at me in such a way that I realized that my tears were totally based on the bodily concept of life, and he was not going to be impressed by my great emotion to see the pure devotee. He knew that it was this was some kind of a false show. So I couldn't. I had to stop. I stopped crying immediately, and I just felt that he just saw everything about me. And as the years went on, every time I saw Srila Prabhupada, I got a little bit less contaminated. And finally, about so many years later, I was happy that he saw me. I was getting a little pure, having teeny bit, understanding my position as a fallen soul. So I got a little bit, maybe shadow of humility. So that was, but I found that very interesting how, and a lot of devotees I think experience this when Prabhupada looks at you. He looks at the soul. He was looking at the soul. Wasn't fooled by any of the material assets that we try to fool ourselves with. When I desired to get initiated, Gunagrahi, temple president in San Diego, actually recommended me for initiation, and because I had spent some time in the San Diego temple, and Jayatirtha did the sacrifice. So when I went up to get my beads from Srila Prabhupada, I paid my full dandavats because I was living outside of the temple and I didn't know that there was maybe some kind of a rule that ladies shouldn't pay their dandavats, but I spread out right on the floor, paid my full dandavats, and then I got up and I had this one little bouquet that I had made to give to Srila Prabhupada. So I extended my hand with the bouquet to present it to Srila Prabhupada, and I reached out my left hand to accept my beads. And Jayatirtha is standing on the side of Srila Prabhupada, and he said to me, "Don't accept your beads with your left hand, you accept your beads with your right hand." So I put the flowers in my left hand, and I extended the flowers in my right hand, in my left hand, and reached for my beads in my right hand. And then Jayatirtha says again, "No, don't give Srila Prabhupada flowers with your left hand. You have to give it in your right hand." So I'm going back and forth, and meanwhile, I'm getting a little nervous. So finally, after this goes on a couple of times, Srila Prabhupada just looked at Jayatirtha. He said, "It's okay. It's okay." So this was my first experience as feeling a fool in front of my spiritual master. Actually, all the little teeny anecdotes I have are just with that realization of being a fool in front of the spiritual master. Srila Prabhupada was coming to make some recording at Golden Avatar Studios. The tape ministry was called Golden Avatar, and I lived across the street with my daughter in these apartments. It was next to a fire station, and we called them the fire station apartments, something. So it was right across the street from Golden Avatar. So Prabhupada was coming, and I went across the street. I bought a fruit plate. I was just to present to him. We put it inside of the studio, right next to the seat that he would be sitting in. And there was just 4 or 5 devotees there. Finally, Srila Prabhupada was coming, and we were all standing around, just a few. And the driver parked the car, and the the sidewalk was a little bit high, and the car was down a bit. You understand? So Prabhupada had to step up to get onto the sidewalk. The devotee who had driven Srila Prabhupada to the studio stepped out and opened the car door. And Srila Prabhupada, we had paid our obeisances, but gotten up by then. And Prabhupada was struggling a bit to get out of the car. It was difficult for anyone to do, but he was also an older gentleman, and it would have been nice for the devotee to extend his hand to help Srila Prabhupada to get out of the car. And I'm just watching this, and I'm feeling, please extend your hand to help Srila Prabhupada. And then I'm feeling like I should do that. I didn't do it. But the whole time that Srila Prabhupada went in, finally Srila Prabhupada got out of the car and didn't, with no assistance, walked himself to the door of the studio. So we waited an hour and a half. Srila Prabhupada was finished, and I was dying the whole time. I felt so guilty that I didn't extend my hand. That was a perfect opportunity to serve the spiritual master. I mean, probably it was best that I didn't do it. But anyway, Prabhupada walks out, and I go right up to Srila Prabhupada, who comes up to here on me, and I'm not so tall myself, 5'3", so he's up to here on me. And I walked over and I said, Srila Prabhupada, please forgive me for not helping you get out of the car. And he looks at me, and he said, what? I said, Srila Prabhupada, you came, and it looked like you maybe I should have helped you get out of the car because it looked like maybe you needed some assistance. Please forgive me. He looks to his servant. He said, what did she say? And then the servant says, oh, it's nothing important, Srila Prabhupada. And I said, Srila Prabhupada, it's very important. Please forgive me for not having helped you get out of the car when you first arrived. And he saw my face. He said, oh, it's okay. So Prabhupada's always telling me it's okay, and I'm being a complete fool in front of my guru. So that's another incident. This is in a letter to me. He wrote me a letter, and he told me to worship Lord Chaitanya in my home and chant at least 16 rounds and read his books every day, and Maya will never touch me. And he told me that to always remain in the fire of Krishna consciousness. And he said that, and then your spiritual master will pray to Krishna for your spiritual advancement. So that's what I do in my life, try to do at least those 3 things every day. Follow his instructions.
Je anilo premadana koruna prachu